All right, it is a great day here. It is July 8th, 2015, and I'm here with my new friend Jack. Jack is a viewer of the YouTube channel, and he is a very interesting person. He's a pilot, he's a sailor most importantly, but he's also a mechanic. And so in his work, he was traveling through the middle Atlantic area, shot me an email at iniboats@gmail.com, and so we decided to sit back and have a couple of drinks. We've had a couple of what is this again?
I forget.
Painkiller.
Oh yeah, the painkiller.
It's also a brain cell killer.
And it works.
Yeah, he's had some what's that rum?
Oh, the Mount Gay rum. Thank you,
rum.
Eric Forsyth and Drake and Mo for telling us about that.
Yeah.
And then my all-time favorite was Grand Marnier on the rocks.
Grand Marnier on the rocks. All right.
Yep, they've got it all here.
So we're sitting here at the Canton Marina here in Baltimore at Bo Brooks, which is a really excellent seafood restaurant. They've got great crabs, lots of boats out here. And I was actually sharing with Jack that this is one of the places where I consider keeping my boat once we're all done. But we're sitting here and we're talking about boats. So I wanted Jack to maybe tell us a little bit about himself and how he found me, and a little bit about him and what he sails.
I'm known as the power electronics guy on the internet, and the only reason for that is the only thing I know is about generators and switchboards on workboats. That's pretty much all I've done for the last 25 years, 30 years. And like Kamal just said, I had the opportunity to travel up to Mystic, Connecticut and work on a mega yacht that had some generator troubles. And to my surprise, we got it done much quicker than I thought, which gave me the opportunity to hightail it back here to Baltimore, Maryland, and catch up with Kamal. Kamal has just overwhelmed me with his knowledge of building wooden boats. And that's something I know absolutely nothing about.
I guess I have to pay him for saying that.
Oh my God, no. I fully intend, if God will let me live long enough and remain healthy enough, I fully intend to come back here and help him with the electrical design and installation on this boat. And I'm also trying to encourage him into maybe using this boat as a plug so we can make some duplicates, just in case it turns out to be a super fantastic and efficient boat, which I think is well on its way to being. He's doing it the right way, getting these architects involved and putting everything down on paper. I've trained a lot of young engineers about switchboards and generators, and I asked them all a very leading question, and that basically is, what's the most valuable part of a switchboard or a generator? Of all the components that make up a switchboard or a generator, what's the most valuable part?
The label.
And they'll all come up with a label, or they'll come up with a commutator, or a bearing, or a relay, or a solenoid of some sort. The most valuable part is the drawings.
The drawings, okay.
That will save you tens of thousands of dollars and man hours later on the road. Whenever you want to do a refit or a modification, you start with the drawings. And with those drawings and guarding them with your life as the boat becomes more and more complete, I think is extremely critical. And then the other thing that I hope to impress Kamal with is another term that I've coined over the years, and it's kind of hard to spell, and I think it would be the world's largest word if anyone could spell it, but that is Econo-maintainability.
Yeah, I know exactly what that is.
Oh my God.
The synonym to that is keep the cash in my pocket as much as I can.
Exactly.
Yes. Right.
Exactly. But you can't help but feel for these guys that accidentally run their diesel engines out of fuel for whatever reason, and they got to crawl down into this impossibly and insane area to crack high pressure injector lines or to bleed that fuel filter or whatever, and then clean up the bilge, and everything is so cramped and rat nested together that there's just no economical or easy way to keep it maintainable, you know. And by designing a layout so that you can not only operate it but also keep it in a state of normal operation, I think will add to its longevity and make maintenance much easier. You know, and when anything is neat and workmanlike, as opposed to a rat-nested, cramped nightmare, there's a night and day difference between the attitude of the person working on it. You tend to keep it neat, and that in turn makes it last longer. So I'm hoping that at least the electrical system will have some econo-maintainability that's built into it.
Tell us about your sailboat.
Okay, I was able to buy a Cape Dory 22 off of a widow. Her husband suddenly died of bone marrow cancer, and she just couldn't look at the boat anymore without breaking into tears.
I thought you won it in the poker game.
No.
He beat an old lady in poker.
I learned all about sailing the hard way. I went out and almost fell overboard when I tried to raise the mainsail. I managed to put it into my mud slip sideways. I did all of the things the wrong way. I told countless numbers of people about this shoaling and the very, very shallow area on the St. Johns River in Jacksonville, and to steer clear of it. And lo and behold, I was so overwhelmed with keeping this boat going at almost to hull speed on a beam reach that I ran it aground and had to spend the next 4 or 5 hours waiting for the tide to change so that I could float off of the so-called reef and make it back home. So I'm learning the hard way, I suppose. I'm hoping maybe I can get back up here into the Baltimore, Annapolis area and maybe take some accredited courses and learn how to sail. But I also hope that I can learn a lot of that kind of stuff from my buddy Kamal here as well.
So tell me, what's your impression of this area down here?
I am so impressed by how many sailboats exist here. No wonder everybody is into that and all. You know, there's more wind up here, so you can sail for a longer period of time throughout the year. Right now, the only way I can get wind out of Jacksonville is to go offshore. But you know, when I try to sail in the river or whatever, the only wind I'll get is just a couple of hours before a big thunderstorm will come through.
Oh, really?
And the lightning that comes out of the thunderstorm just scares me to death. that mast is sticking up higher than anything else around, you know.
Right.
So yeah. But no, I am really impressed by the intensity of all of the sailing, and it's no wonder so many people that are into sailing come from this area. It's just remarkable. I hope to come back and learn more.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you looking me up.
Yeah.
We're talking innovation too. The conversation we were just having before we hit play or record on the camera was about innovation, and I guess I've somehow impressed upon Jack that I'm being pretty innovative in the design of the boat and maybe doing things slightly different than most production boats are being made, and I'm always looking for innovations to, one, make the boat more efficient, to make it safer, and to just make it more beautiful, to make it more fun. So we're not going to talk about on camera the innovation we're talking about, because that may be a patent.
Well,
coming down the line.
And it would be boring for all of the non-nerdy types that like to watch these kind of videos.
All of my viewers are nerds. Right?
Well, I'm your number one nerd fan here. I love it all.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are going to continue to drink our painkillers. All right. Yes, sir. And I just want to thank Jack for looking me up. And as always, until next time, peace and blessings.